We're off to the Steel City to visit PPG Paints Arena. This is Rinks around the league. Let's go. Hey there, welcome back to Rinks Around the League. I'm your host, Jeff Nash, and on this episode, we're off to visit the PPG Paints Arena in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, home of the Pittsburgh Penguins of the NHL. Construction of PPG Paints started back on April 14, 2008, and it opened on August 18, 2010, at a cost of $321 million. It is owned by Sports and Exhibition Authority of Pittsburgh and Allegheny County. The rink was privately financed, with the Lemieux Group paying $4 million a year and Majestic Star Casino, who agreed to pay $7.5 million for the first 30 years. Its seating capacity is 18,387. The scoreboard measures 25 by 15 feet. Naming rights deal was signed with PPG Industries in 2016 for an undisclosed amount. Average secondary market price ranks them 13th in the league at $141. Now, PPG Paints Arena is one of the greatest examples of a modern rink in the NHL. It's a fantastic rink, and it's situated downtown in a city with a ton of character. In fact, I would go on to say that Pittsburgh is one of the greatest sports cities in all of North America. Now, team success aside, all three major sports franchises share the same color scheme and branding. You've got the black and gold of the Pittsburgh Steelers of the NFL, the Pittsburgh Pirates of MLB, and the Pittsburgh Penguins of the NHL. In my opinion, it's really cool seeing the other athletes on the other teams sporting apparel from the other teams. It really brings the whole city together. Of course, PPG Paints Arena is relatively new, and it was actually constructed right across the street from the old Mellon Arena, where the Pittsburgh Penguins used to play. Mellon Arena was eventually demolished to make way for future considerations. It's a big building with a lot of bells and whistles, but they've kept everything pretty simple and classy. You're not going to be overwhelmed with signage or branding. In fact, they're really good displaying signage and branding in really effective ways. They have classic imagery tastefully done throughout the building, and I even noticed in the stairwells they had imagery of previous teams installed. The fact that they've chosen to post things where people only see briefly as they leave the building speaks to the thought process of maximizing space without overdoing it. Up on the media level, they have beautifully framed photos of the team's history, which I'm always a fan of. Now, walking around, I noticed they have a lot of food and bev options, which is great on the main concourse. It's pretty large, and I noticed some pretty unique things like sushi bars and craft beers for sale. Now, one little weird fact that is kind of unique to PPG is the fact that it doesn't have a soft drink contract with either Coca-Cola or Pepsi, instead going with the Dr. Pepper and Snapple group. And they have a great team store that has everything you need in terms of merch, and I gotta say, as a parent, one thing really stuck out to me on that main concourse, and that would be their High Mark Kids Zone. Now, I'm gonna go on a limb and say that this doesn't exist on any other NHL facility's main concourse. It's a really nice touch, and I like it a lot. It has a really cool mini hockey stick rink for kids to go play mini sticks, table hockey, you can meet the mascot, have large TV displays so parents can keep track of what's happening in the game on the ice. And I think this is an amazing touch, primarily because if you go to a game and if it's lopsided and the home team's not doing that well, and your kids aren't really enjoying the game, you can always take them to the kids zone and they can spend a lot of energy just playing games there. And you can still end the night on a good note. The in-game presentation is pretty impressive. They have all the modern day tools at their disposal, on-ice projections, lights, a big screen, LED rings, and they probably have one of the most iconic goal horns in the league that you now associate with Crosby and Malkin. And they have a huge bowl, and you've noticed that when you walk in. It's a pretty impressive in-bowl experience. Their cup banners are pretty impressive, and they kind of follow the Blackhawks scheme by putting them on one end of the rink. Of course, all of these details are things that I like about PPG. I like how big and open the rink is. It's a pretty large building, and they have a lot of different beer and food options compared to a lot of rinks around the league. And I gotta say, they have a great atmosphere inside that building. Of course, this comes with the territory of their most recent cup wins. But when I was there, Malkin scored this unbelievable spinorama, backhand, bar down goal. The crowd went nuts.
Malkin picks his pocket. In on Fane, the shot, he scores! Spinorama, a standing ovation material. And the fans are looking at it again on the big board here, Bob.
Well, you have to look at it again to appreciate it.
Now, after all of that, is there anything that I don't like about the rink? Not really. It's definitely one of the top rinks around the league. One small detail I'm not a huge fan of is the placement of the Lemieux retirement jersey. They kind of have it up near the scoreboard on one side. It's kind of an odd placement, and you'll have to think with the eventual retirement of Crosby and Malkin that they're gonna have to find a better place for all those jerseys to hang. But other than that, it's one of the best rinks situated in one of the best sports cities in North America. A sports trip to Pittsburgh is highly recommended, and make sure PPG Paints is on the top of your list. Pittsburgh fans, let me know. What do you love about PPG? Is there anything that you would change or add to it? And that does it for this episode. On the next episode, we're off to St. Louis to visit the Enterprise Center, home of the St. Louis Blues. As always, follow me on Twitter and Instagram at _the_Rinks, on Facebook at the Rinks, and on YouTube at Rinks Around the League. Hit subscribe and ring that bell. We actually played in Pittsburgh during the US election in 2016 on the actual election night. Believe it or not, we actually crossed paths with the president on a few different occasions during my time with the Oilers. We played a matinee game and we flew back home. We were flying back home to Edmonton, and about 2/3 of the way home, the pilots actually got a ticker saying that Donald Trump had won the presidency. So no matter what your political affiliation, it was a pretty historic night in US politics, and it was a night that a lot of us won't soon forget.